jump was a really proud moment for me. That was at sectionals, and I obtained my personal record at sectionals, which was huge. But I guess the main question that I took from this is how, in 1 year, because I only jumped for 1 year before that how could I like fall in love with the sport so much in such a short period of time and get decently well at the sport? And when I really look back, I realized that it has a lot to do with the community that I was involved in. So in this video, I want to show you guys a little bit about that community and how great it was to be a part of it. So now we're going to take a look at the map. And this map it's one location. This is our school field house. A lot of times we would train inside because it gets cold, but this was where we would meet almost every day for practice, and these are the main areas of the gym that were utilized and that were important to our community. So first we have the garage. This is where we put all of our pole vault equipment in. This is where we would meet. We'd take out all the pads, the mats out, get our poles out of the garage, set up, get ready for practice. And yeah, there was a lot of shenanigans that went on there. We would talk about the day, school, everything going on. But then after that, we would focus on getting to the track where we would do our stretches and mile warm-up. And at this time, this was usually a race because we were super competitive, and that's what really drove the community to become a lot better. That's why we had really good results with our pole vault. We were all so competitive in the field. But yeah, the track was really important to us, that indoor track, and we used that a lot. But then the best part of this map that I like looking at is the runway. I mean, this is where all the magic happened. This is where all the jumps were created. We would all line up, take turns, take our jump, look at the jump, see how we can improve, talk to our teammates, look at film. And at the end of the day, we were all working together on the runway. It was a unified thing. No one was competing on the runway during practice. We were all trying to make each other better and make the community develop as a whole. And then we also had the pit. I mean, I like the pit because if we didn't have that, there'd be some dangerous jumps going on because, you know, you're falling from 11, 12 feet onto the hard turf floor of the gym. So it was really nice to have that. And I guess the pit acted as kind of like our home, or like our home base, I could say, because, you know, whenever we had practice, we would say like, all right, set up the pit. You know, it's like setting up your home, or like setting up the table for dinner. That's a good metaphor to put it like. And yeah, all these places really brought our community together. Alright, so now I want to talk about the language that's used in the sport of pole vault, and more specifically my community. So the first one I want to talk about is bending the pole, and this sounds exactly like what it is, but it actually means a lot more. Bending the pole takes a lot of work and practice to finally accomplish and really learn how to bend the pole and use it to your advantage. And so once you figure it out, it's almost like a rite of passage to where you become not a beginner anymore, and now you're really taking the sport seriously and people realize that you have potential. The next one I want to talk about is work, and of course it's just a common word that everyone uses, but for our community it was a lot more. Our coach was a really old-fashioned guy. He was a great coach, and but when we came to practice, it was never practice. He always referred to it as work. We're coming to work. We're here to work. He never used the word practice, and he didn't really like it because at the pit you're constantly working. You're working to change your jump, and I really liked it because it pushed our community to, you know, take a step back and really work on ourselves and work to become better. Another word I want to talk about is called stalling, and this is the most dangerous part of pole vault, and no one likes to see this, but sometimes it unfortunately happens. And this is when the pole bends out and there's no momentum pulling you forward, and now you're just looking down, you know, pretty high up in the air, wondering, well, damn, am I about to snap my neck when I come down? So Yeah, it's pretty scary, but unfortunately, it happens sometimes. And oh, here's a clip of that. So, in terms of relating this community back to one of the pieces we read, the first one I want to talk about is Keen Yards, and she talks about the Hush Harpers. And I feel like my pole vault community was a lot like that, because on the track team we were really secluded. There was only about 5 of us, so we weren't really involved with a lot of the other people on the track team. And like I said before, we had a long list of terms that only us really knew and understood. The second piece that I'd like to bring up is Gramsci on his interpretation of intellectuals. And he states that all humans have the capability to be intellectual. And I could see this in pole vault because pole vault's a very technical driven sport. There's obviously an athletic component to it, but at the end of the day, you have to know your form to do well. And we had some guys that I guess weren't that bright, weren't that smart, but they still could figure out the technique and learn it with practice. And at the end of the day, that shows that they're somewhat intellectual.
Lot better.